Hello and welcome to the Week 7 edition of the Coach's Corner here on Leominster TV and Facebook Live. Alongside Leominster High School head coach Dave Palazzi, I am Todd Robbins. Happy to have you with us for this week's edition of the Coach's Corner, where Leominster comes in after 2 more weeks since our last episode. Coach, still winless on this season, an 0-6 record to this point. When we were here 2 weeks ago, it was a preview of the Doherty game, a 31-20 loss ultimately, and then a loss this past week to Wachusett by a 49-19 score. Certainly not the type of season thus far that you've wanted to have. And this week against Wachusett, this week that has passed, it's one of those situations where maybe for the first time your defense got exposed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't start off very well. I think in that type of an offense where you have some young guys on defense, it's, you have to go through your reads, and it's, crisscross applesauce, I call it back there. And, we're just a little slow to the step, and you can't be that way in a varsity football game. And Wachusett certainly exploited that on the first play from scrimmage and other plays. But it's not for lack of trying. We just got to do a better job of coaching those guys up on both sides of the ball and really trying to show them where they need to be and what their reads are and kind of rep that out. It's kind of tough sometimes in high school football. You're trying to go over tackling drills and pass defense, and you're trying to fit all this in. And obviously it's the one thing you don't spend a lot of time on sometimes. It ends up biting you in the game Friday night. So, we'll do the best we can to try to shore some things up for this week.
You mentioned in the start, in the first couple of plays right off the bat, kickoff gets returned 40-plus yards, gives them good field position. Not like that's something you haven't encountered before. And then the very first touch from scrimmage, they take the ball around end and break it 50-plus yards untouched for a touchdown. Certainly not only not the start you wanted, it's digging yourself a hole right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, that was just too easy for them. I mean, that's obviously can get you down. I mean, we're 0-5 looking for a win, and to have that happen was a bit frustrating, but I think the coaches got on the sideline and try to clean some things up. I mean, we got some young kids on the edge there that got to come up and, smash those lead blockers and take them out and sell out, but and fill it from the back end with the safety. But we just got to get better at doing things. It's every little thing. We need to coach it up better and just try to learn from our mistakes.
You mentioned coming out 0-5 into this football game and what something like that does to you in the very first couple of plays of the football game. Was it a little bit surprising to you, perhaps, that maybe this would be the week, after all of these weeks where you've been suffering and trying to grow the game and get to the point where you get your first win, to come out at 0-5 knowing that you want to make a statement, and the very first couple of plays of the game, you just don't make a play when you need to?
Of course. I mean, I'm pretty confident about our chances Friday night. I thought we could do some things offensively. They're a well-coached team. I mean, Wachusett is probably one of the best coached teams in our league. I mean, we got a lot of great coaches, but they do a nice job of doing what they do well, and they run that offense to perfection. And it's not one of those types of offenses that you can lack getting to where you need to be. And it was kind of frustrating, but again, I think the kids are trying out there, and we just got to do a better job of getting them in the right spot or changing some things up and just hoping that we can learn from, what we're doing wrong.
Another example of maybe the defense's struggles in this game came a little later into the football game, somewhere around halftime. You get them into a 4th and long situation in the red area. You look like you're going to get them off the field and be able to either get away with maybe having to make one more extra play. They go out on a 4th down play, and they're able to score on a 4th and long play. They kind of put the separation between the two of you pretty substantially before halftime.
Yeah, I mean, that one hurt, obviously. I mean, the kid made an unbelievable throw, by the way. It was a 50-yard throw and a dime. He threw a perfect spiral into the corner. And, our guy just, D-back was back there for a long time. We only rushed 3 guys to try to, keep him in front of us. It was 28 seconds, and he was looking in the backfield and, thought the kid ran out or was dead in just one step, and the kid just threw a perfect pass. Our guy was there and just missed it. And it's just one of those things when things aren't going your way, it sometimes seems like, just bad luck, bad calls, bad everything happens. And, we got to find a way as coaches. I got to find a way to try to get us out of that mode and just try to give us some positive experiences and, start thinking positively about what we're doing. And, when you do that, good things happen. It's, like I'm a big karma guy, and you start thinking positive and slapping high fives, and, then the calls go your way and things like that. So that's really where we're at. We got to kind of get out of that funk of just thinking bad things are going to happen all the time.
We'll talk about a call in a second, but let's talk first about the offense, who did show up and make some strides. There were some positives to take away from the game, finding some targets. Some things are starting to look a little more consistent, perhaps maybe not in the running game where you would like it, and then we'll come back to that call in a second. But first, your initial reaction to your offense in this week.
Well, we knew, our game plan was to throw the ball. I think they play the 3-5. They have 6 guys in the box, and you saw it. I mean, they were sending the house, they were blitzing, and they really said, you're going to have to beat us with the pass. And, we really tried to transition to that. I thought Pat had a great night. I think he went through his reads. I think Rodriguez, Viola came up pretty big, and, I thought our O-line blocked well. So I was pretty happy with that. Obviously, down in the red zone, we could have done a little better job, but, you got to be able to run the ball, too, to mix it up. You can't just drop back every time. So, and they started sending people. But, our game plan was to throw the ball, but we just, we didn't really convert on a couple of those drives that I thought would have helped us tremendously. But overall, I think we got to get better at the run game and just go over some things. But, injuries, we lost another lineman the previous week. So, last year our best line. So 2 of our starting linemen, have been out. So it's been tough to get guys in there and try to get a grasp of what we're doing with a lot of confidence. I mean, they're pretty confident, but obviously they don't have the time of the other guys.
You mentioned some of the kind of the successes that maybe you had offensively, or things that maybe did go well. One of the things that we took note of on the broadcast is it seemed like at least the first time that we could notably remember this year is one of your signature plays that you love to run and call. That little kind of jailbreak blitz, draw everybody to the quarterback, flip screen over the top of them, worked successfully, and it was a step forward, a play that you guys have been trying each week and finally found some room to actually operate.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to get better. I mean, it obviously comes week to week. I mean, when you're playing teams that are really good, it's tough to get feel success sometimes in some of the things you're trying to do. Some great teams we've been playing, some great scouting reports, obviously some great game plans. But, as a team sees success and sees us do things that work, it's beneficial for us that we can come back to those things with a sense of confidence and really rely on some of those things. I mean, when you're not executing a lot of those plays, you're trying to find things that will work. So it just takes time.
No question about that. And Coach, as we talked about a moment ago, the kind of plays that maybe don't break your way, flags that don't break your way. You get an offensive momentum going, you break a touchdown, big play. Players are step for step. A defender chasing down a Leominster receiver down the sideline. The receiver launches themselves into the end zone, and immediately a flag comes flying out, which didn't affect the touchdown. The point stayed up on the board, but did affect field position on the ensuing kickoff, where you had to eat a 15-yard penalty on there. Timing of that could have been better, certainly where it seems like you finally get a positive thing going, and then all of a sudden a flag you have to eat to lose field position.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we missed the extra point because of that, in my opinion. I mean, we had it going on. It pulled us from within a touchdown. And, the rule is you can't taunt. You can't put your hand up on the 5-yard line when you're scoring. You see a lot of college and NFL players dive into the end zone, and they do flips, and they put their hand behind the head and all that stuff. But, I thought Michael, the guy was like 3 yards behind him, and he just dove in and scored. He didn't put his hand behind his head or anything. And, officials are not trying to make bad calls. They're trying to make the calls that they see. And I just thought, that was an ill-advised penalty at that point in time with the guy where he was, the defender, I mean. And, it did change us a little bit. But the field position, we ended up hitting them back inside their 10. And unfortunately, that led to the 4th down play, before halftime, so.
Nobody appeared more surprised on that flag than Mike Viola did.
Yeah, I mean, he came back to me, and the official had, said that he put his hand behind his head, and he didn't. I saw in the film he didn't today. So, it is what it is. Again, the officials aren't trying to, I would hope they're not trying to just make calls and make them up. They're trying to call what they see, and we move beyond that. So, we just gotta stick with the program.
Moving beyond it is the name of the game. A 49-19 loss to Wachusett on Friday night, moving Leominster's record to 0-6 on the 2017 season. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Blue Devils over the next couple of weeks. Of course, the one we'll be talking about here in this Week 7 edition of the Coach's Corner. They travel down to Carmagnati Field, and Shepherd Hill will be the opposition, playing host on Friday night, October the 20th, a 7 o'clock kickoff. And then the last of the originally scheduled 8 games of the regular season on the road in Northborough at Algonquin on Friday the 27th at 7 o'clock. And we'll have more on that Shepherd Hill game coming up. And then, of course, what will come in Week weeks 9 and 10 are things to come, and information that we will get in the ensuing weeks. Through this 6th week of action at the start of the 7th week, first opportunity that the MIAA, the Telegram and Gazette, was able to do some calculations and actually bring forth a first look at the MIAA power ratings using their Walker system and other astronomical mechanics to calculate those teams that would qualify for the playoffs. Let's take a look at those power ratings from the Telegram this week. St. John's grabs the top spot, perfect 6-0 mark, 21.67 power ratings points. Shrewsbury right behind them with a 5-1 record, 16.53, and you can truly see the separation between a perfect record with St. John's and Shrewsbury's 5-1 record by looking at those number of power ratings points. Shepherd Hill's clocking in at 3, 4-2 record, 15.03 points. Doherty right now is the cutoff. They would be in the playoffs if things started today. 5-1 record, 13.47 points. That would eliminate Wachusett, Algonquin, and Leominster if the playoffs began this Friday night. And Coach, this is an opportunity where I know you and I have both talked about this system and why this system is difficult and complicated. And when you look at those power ratings points, it speaks volumes. Doherty is in the playoffs if you started today. Wachusett would be out, and Wachusett beat Doherty in week 1 of the season. That in and of itself speaks volumes between the issues with the types of teams you play, the schedules that you have, and of course the difference between being in and being out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say anything. I mean, we lost to both of those teams, but I've always said, you know, you roll back the tape to 3-4 years ago, or, you know, even last year when they changed the schedule or changed the format. I mean, there really just needs to be a sense of equity among our league and playing the same teams in order to qualify for playoffs. I know, you know, with the point system, they're giving more points for Division III teams, but, you know, they're just, I think our league should be playing the same amount of league games as everybody else. I mean, that's really the only way in my mind that it's fair. Or fairness is given to the teams. And, you know, they can certainly do that. I don't know why they don't, but you know, it just doesn't make sense. I think I said this when we went to 4 teams for the playoff. I liked it as 8 teams because everybody makes it, even though you're 0-8. I think I said at the time, if you're in the league, you would play the team anyway. Would you rather be 0-8 playing your last game of the season, or would you rather be 0-8 playing the first round of a playoff game?
That's right.
So, you know, I think it just the way it works out. I mean, I'm sure they did the best they could with the way it is, but just the scheduling seems a bit skewed.
You're so much nicer to the MIAA than I am. Man, do I just love bashing on them. And I have to say that it is evident from what we have seen in these schedules. We'll take a look at the balance of the schedules here. We've got Wachusett and Doherty's schedules from the Telegram and Gazette's website, and you can see the kind of the distinction in the opposition. There is that Wachusett-Doherty matchup in the first week of the season. Wachusett scheduled to the right of your screen. Doherty's to the left. You can see that win for Wachusett in the first week of the season. Then after that, when you look at the equitability of the opponents, the teams that they are playing one another. Doherty playing in the Inter-High League, although a member of Division III Central Mass. Wachusett playing in the Midland Wachusett League, Section A, and still part of Division III Central Mass. Those games are not equal. An opponent like Worcester South is not equal to St. John's, or it's not equal to Shepherd Hill. Those are not the same kinds of opponents. And this is kind of my overall issue with this entire situation, is if you're going to be part of a division, you can't have divisions and leagues existing in the same place. As I saw last year, a school claimed a league championship. Do we hand out league championships when leagues don't play into playoffs and playoffs don't have anything? A league championship, I mean, that's something to write on a board somewhere. It doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and it's no fault to these programs. Doherty, Sean Mulcahy is a great coach. I mean, you know, he's just trying to do what's best for his program. I think you're right. I mean, this comes from the league schedulers. This comes from the MIAA, and you're in Division III football, and if you're in that division, I think you should be playing other Division III football teams, and if not, then rightfully so, they should probably be in another division. I mean, granted, they beat us, and I have no problem with that. Sean's a great coach. They did a nice job, but I just, you know, we asked for a Central Mass schedule, and you know, we had an open date, week 2. So, I mean, it's just, I think they got to rethink the way they do it, you know, how they schedule all these teams in our division. I think we should all play the same amount of league games, 5, because Wachusett and Shrewsbury can't play each other. That's the maximum amount of games they could play. We played all 6 teams this year, and we're the only team that played every team in our league this year. I just, you know, I know we're not doing well. I know we're 0-6. I know, but like we talked about, I think anything you do in life, there has to be equitability and you know, and fairness, and just roll it out like that. I mean, that's the only way I can see where, you know, you're not going to get guys like me complaining, or next year will be another guy complaining. I mean, when you don't have fairness in life or anything, you know, you get people, you know, that frustrated.
I think probably what leads mostly to your frustration is that in this current system where you can be a member of inter-high and play an inter-high schedule, and you have to play a Midland A schedule, if you were to compare those two items, they're not apples to apples. That therefore creates a situation where there are right and wrong teams to play in order to qualify for this playoff system. I don't think that's a fair system. Like you just said, it would be much simpler if this is going to be the division that we're all going to determine the top 4 teams out of. You've got to play at least 5 of those in order to qualify in this system. Seems very balanced.
Yeah, I think they try. I mean, if you play a Division III team, which we are, you get 12 points for winning. Doherty, if they're not playing Division III teams, they're only getting 10 points for the teams they're winning, but they're getting 2 points for every victory. If you beat a Division III team, you get 3 points for every victory. So I think they did try to make the points equal there.
Yep.
But the problem arises if you're playing a tough schedule every week, and you don't have any weeks off, so to speak, and you're just grinding it out week in and week out, and you know, it can get a bit frustrating, obviously, to you know, look at a schedule and just see everybody playing everybody different, and there's no rhyme or reason to how schedules are done. I just, you know, hopefully they can figure that out.
No question about it. Now, I take your point that you made earlier. Wachusett is playing 5 games in this league, and if the playoffs started today, they played 5 games in Division III Central Mass, they wouldn't qualify for the playoffs. Doherty would, having only played 2 games against playoff teams. That's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, no question. I mean, it's an easy solution in my opinion, but you know, I'm not on the committee, so.
You're not a former athletic director either. In order to qualify, you have to be a former athletic director to be anything relative to the MIAA. All right, moving on. That's it. That's my MIAA rant for this week's show. We'll come back next week. I'm sure I'll have another. Around the region for Week 7 action. Here we go. 5 games on the board. We've got 4 to show you there. Fitchburg is at Groton Dunstable. Wachusett is at Neshoba. Shrewsbury travels to Westboro. Worcester North is at Doherty. That's the one not pictured there. That game will matter for Division III Central Mass playoff standings. And then the Saturday slate has Algonquin traveling to St. John's. 5 big games in Central Mass this week. And Coach, obviously a lot of those teams are intermixed in this action. Those top 4 teams jockeying for position, and Wachusett in that 5th slot, looking to try to get a win and get a loss from somebody else and get the right combination of wins to qualify.
Yeah, I think this will probably be the first time in the history of Leominster football that Wachusett fans will be loving Leominster this week. I think they'll be wanting to know the score, obviously, in Shepherd Hill, and you know, we want to go out and play as hard as we can for those teams. Wachusett, Doherty. I mean, it's Wachusett, Doherty, and Shepherd Hill, and you know, we play Shepherd Hill now, so it's definitely going to matter these last few weeks to those teams that qualify. And you know, we have 5 games left as a program, and I just for this year, and you know, that's what I'm stressing. We want to go out and try to get our first win. I mean, I'm coaching it like it's a playoff game. Our coaches are. Our team's going to attack it that way. It's just you know, hopefully we can show up and give it a shot to minimize mistakes and do the best we can.
Interesting situation you have there, and I know you would much rather be playing in a playoff game, be one of those top 4 teams. But as a coach, when you're in this kind of a situation, you're always looking for new ways, new incentives to get your players moving forward. You're an 0-6 team. You now play all the teams that now need a win to qualify. You have the opportunity to play spoiler and dash the hopes of people who are looking to qualify. It's got to be some kind of an incentive to put in front of your team. Hey, do you want to cost this team a chance to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, the incentive I have is Leominster football. I mean, these guys were suiting up, we're wearing Leominster blue and white, and we're going out there to play football. I mean, I don't know, you know, what else you need to be motivated by, and I think our guys have done a great job. But obviously, we're dealing with high school kids, and you know, we're 0-6, and we're struggling a little bit. And you know, it's like the Red Sox before they won the World Series. Oh no, here we go again. But we got to get that attitude out and just play positive and fly around, and just every play is a new play, because you know, every team across the country, they don't have a perfect game. I mean, look at the Patriots yesterday, the Jets. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. It's what you do after those mistakes that really allows you to win or lose a game. So we're just, you know, we're not doing a good job after we make mistakes at finishing games and obviously learning from those mistakes. But I can tell you this, we're going to go down swinging. Any team I coach is not going to show up and just lay down and roll over for anybody. So, I guarantee you this, we'll be ready for these last 5 games, and we're going to give it our all. And, I'm pretty confident that we can win all 5 games if we do what we're supposed to do. I mean, that's just how I think. I mean, people may think I'm crazy, but that's the positive attitude I have, and that's what my team's going to think come Friday night.
And it's infectious on the sidelines as well. You can certainly feel it down on the field when we're doing our interview before the games. You guys are going through your warm-up process. There hasn't been a week I've gone down that it's been like, oh boy, well, here we go. We got to go play another one. They're up for the games. They are doing everything they can to prepare, and they're coming out of the gates when the gates open at the start of the race like they've got an equal chance of being there at the end.
Yeah, and I think, I told the kids the other day, I said, this is one of the best years I've had from a standpoint that I understand where these kids are coming from mentally. And I'm very surprised with their effort, and I'm very surprised, to where they're at, just playing hard-nosed football and doing the best they can. We don't have a lot of negativity on the team. You don't have a lot of finger pointing. You don't have a lot of blame. You have a lot of support for one another, and guys just trying to get better. I mean, we have a lot of young guys on the team, and, usually you wouldn't think that would happen. But these guys are resilient, and I commend them for that. I mean, I'm sure I would be devastated. I am devastated with our record, obviously, but I would be in a much worse place right now if things were chaotic and guys were just pointing fingers and fighting and things that you would think would happen. And there's none of that. I think we got a lot of good kids on our team. They want to play football. They want to win, and all we can do is just keep coaching them. I mean, losing sometimes happens, and it's where you are in times like this. How you act and what you do is your true character. And I told the kids that, and this is where your true self comes out, when you're down and out and you feel a sense of despair and you're looking around for someone to do something. I said, we got to do something collectively. So that's the attitude we're going to take, and we're going to play this thing through, and we're going to make Leominster proud of the way we finish this season off.
Speaks to the mentorship in the program as well, from the head coach on down, to maintain that positivity as well. We turn our attention to Week 7 action. It's Shepherd Hill and Leominster. Comrignati Field will be the site. Always a difficult location to go into on a Friday night. It's a long ride, coach, onto the Friday night. Get down there, get settled, and then get out on the field in what is always a hostile environment. It's a small bandbox of a location for a brand new field, and they always put in a great crowd. It's going to be a tough location to go in and play on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some success down there. We've had some of our best games down there, so I'm excited to get down there. I know they have a great program. Coach Duggan is coaching. Ryan took over for his dad, Chris Lindstrom. So, we know they're a physical football team. They know us well, and they got a lot of great coaches. I coach one of their assistants at Worcester State. My other assistant from Millbury, my first few years there, is coaching. So, we're pretty excited to get down there, and it's going to be a big challenge for us. They're loaded on offense, and it's going to be a tough challenge for our defense and our offense.
And they are that usual hard-nosed running team. And very rarely the schedule breaks this way for you. You've got a hard-nosed running team in Shepherd Hill, back-to-back, coming off a hard-nosed running team at Wachusett. So certainly not a lot of change for your defense and its style.
Yeah, well, it's good and bad. I mean, we didn't fare so well against Wachusett, but the good thing about it is we watched the film today. We can correct some things, and really, guys got to know their assignment. You have to know your assignments. You can't freelance. You can't stand up. You got to stay low. You got to fight. You got to battle, and you got to claw and scratch and everything in between to really be successful against this team.
Quickly, coach, as we come down the stretch here, as you look at this matchup, what's the one message as you're going into practice this week? You're saying, all right, we've got to do this on Friday night if we're going to be successful.
We got to score every time we get the ball, and we got to get some stops. I mean, we have to get some stops on defense, and try to get an early lead. I mean, we've been playing behind all year except for St. John's, but try to get that early lead, get some confidence, and maybe get some balls rolling our way, and get a turnover here and there, and get some high fives, some slapping around, and get some excitement going, and just feel what it feels like to be successful. I think that's one thing we're lacking. I mean, we've seen signs of it, but we really, to get ahead in the game and play ahead, it will be a different way of life for us, I guess, so to speak.
And they can use you to be a part of it on Friday night. Come on down to Carmignati Field in Dudley. Be that 12th man for the Blue Devils on the road in that hostile environment. See if you can even up the approach going into that game on Friday night. So that opportunity exists for you. It's Leominster and Shepherd Hill this Friday night, October the 20th. Kickoff at 7 o'clock. 20 minutes past 6 is our countdown to kickoff, beginning first with our Facebook Live look-in over on the K-Zone's Facebook page, and then following up shortly thereafter with our countdown to kickoff on the radio side on AM 1280 and 105.3 FM, and streaming live at WPKZ.net. Leominster TV will be back on the road with us. First time last Friday night, live from Holden. Brought you that whole game from start to finish, both live on television on the channels of LTV, both on Comcast and Verizon that you're watching right now, and also live from start to finish on Facebook Live as well. So those opportunities are going to be there. Be a part of it, participate, let us know where you're watching from. We always love to be able to interact with folks out there on social media as well. So please be a part of that as well. Whether you are joining us from Arizona, Coach, New Hampshire, or somewhere around the world, we've had Blue Devil Nation checking in from all over the place.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, Blue Devils all the way, and if it was up to my daughter, we'd be 6-0. So I love people watching it. I love the support, and we're gonna make the Blue Devils proud, the fans proud. I mean, we're gonna play as hard as we can and try to get a win Friday night.
And that opportunity will be there beginning again at 6:20 with our Facebook Live look-in on the K-Zone's Facebook page at WPKZ Radio. And then our radio pregame begins at 6:30 with LTV alongside with us, beginning at 10 minutes of 7, kickoff at 7 from there. And we are looking forward to having you be a part of this one. Next week's edition of the Coach's Corner, we're right back here on Monday nights, 6 o'clock on LTV and on Facebook Live. For Leominster High School head coach Dave Palazzi, I am Todd Robbins, saying thank you so very much for joining us. And until next week, so long, everybody.